Every decision that we make and every perception that we form is driven by certain psychological factors. Do you know what the biggest driving factor behind the decisions that we make is? It's not choice or want. It is fear. It is the most important psychological factor that determines how we react to a situation. We may fear about something and will intentionally avoid it out of fear. And this is the very tool that people in power have used since ages to control others.
Please subscribe. Help us reach 400 subs this year. It will be very delightful.
What is this fear? How can something so rudimentarily embedded in our brain's evolution be used to control us? Fear is just our brain trying to apprehend the results of any of our actions, and then get all tensed up thinking about all the grave outcomes. People with intense anxiety know this type of fear, when someone knows that the results of any action will be bad, and they will avoid it at all costs. Fear determines how they feel about a situation, and they will avoid certain situations out of fear. Take for instance a little kid playing in the park. He will try to jump off from the merry-go-round just for fun, and he will definitely do it the first time because he doesn't know how badly he could get hurt. But once he jumps and bruises his knees or even fractures his limbs, he will never repeat it again. This is what fear makes people do. This is the way our brains have evolved, and this psychological phenomenon has kept the human race alive through thousands of years, but not anymore. Today, fear is being used to manipulate and control people so that a select handful can benefit from it. We often consume a lot of fear from a variety of different sources, in the type of news media that we watch, the type of people that we communicate with. We may be fearful from a lot of things that we hear that we may have never even seen before. Fear is one of the greatest tools to control people. It has been used to encourage people to do things they wouldn't normally want to do in a calm state of mind, or avoid doing anything at all. Fear changes the way we respond to the situation, and can make us act in a way that is the complete opposite of what we would normally do. Fear is such a great tool to get people to do things that it is used in many marketing campaigns. It is so inherently incorporated in our daily lives that we are unable to even realize that our actions are controlled by fear. We all have a variety of different types of fears, and some of us go to extreme lengths to avoid it. Many of us have a fear of death and are afraid of dying. We will try to combat it the best we can via the artificial drugs marketed as scientific means, yet completely ignore the natural ways to strengthen our immune system and live a healthy lifestyle. The suggestion of fear is clear as daylight when watching and reading sponsored videos and articles about health. All of them suggest that the chemicals in our food and water are contributing to cancer and other health-related concerns. We consume the information and think that because of what we eat and drink, we will die. Also in the article, a magical supplement or essential vitamin or mineral will be mentioned that can help us. Lo and behold, people will buy that product just out of fear. They may not even be aware that their impulsive buying was due to the fear that was implanted within them. We are all controlled by fear. Fear controls all of us. Just open your eyes and look around yourself. Everywhere you see, everything you experience, it's all being controlled by fear. Take elections for another example. Politicians know exactly how to trigger the feeling of fear and anxiety among the masses. They don't try to sell themselves as the perfect candidate worthy of your vote. Instead, they try to make you focus on the things that might happen to you if the other guy comes into power. They will try to paint the picture of a hyper-exaggerated dystopian situation if their government doesn't come to power. Extensive campaigns are run both physically and digitally. Posts are spread on social media. People are reminded time and time again of the harmful outcomes if they don't vote for the particular candidate. As a result, the people will start believing that the consequences are real and start fearing. Thus, their actions become much easier to control just with a hint of fear. You see, this is how a small suggestion of fear can control you to the extent that you make such a major decision just as they want. Knowing the harmful outcome is definitely a cause of fear, but not knowing the outcome is also an equally fear-inducing situation. The fear of the unknown is one of the biggest things. It has kept humankind from some of the biggest inventions and discoveries for so long. When the Higgs boson particle accelerator was being built, nobody knew what the results were going to be. People speculated that colliding particles at such high speeds could be extremely explosive and thus should be avoided. Others thought that it might collapse the laws of physics, as anything could happen. In other words, people did not know what was going to happen and thus were fearful just by apprehending the results. Ultimately, our ultimate fear is the fear of death, the fear of our existence coming to an end, the people that we will leave behind. What's going to happen to us after we die? We don't want to know the answers to these questions, so we have fear. Imagine a scenario where an unknown and mysterious pathogen has unleashed on the planet a deadly disease that is invisible and incurable. Everyone has it, as it is contagious, and the situation has been amplified by the news media and health experts, as they say millions are going to be infected and die. Does this sound familiar? It should, because that's what happened in 2020. It initially started out as a serious and deadly infection where millions were projected to die. But what happened in reality? Shortly after, those initial projections were lowered drastically because of extremely low fatality rates. However, people still retain the initial fear in their minds and were trained to believe that their loved ones, friends, and every other person they come into contact with, as well as the fresh air that gives them some life, was an enemy. But why? Because once fear is implanted and continuously reaffirmed by the news media and health officials, then it's hard to actually be calm and rational and differentiate between fear and facts. This is a good example of how fear has been used to control the population. You can choose to be afraid of something you are scared about, but never let anyone fill you with fear.
Please subscribe. Help us reach 400 subs this year. It will be very delightful, and also share the video to spread the word. You can watch another video, just click left or right. Keep inspiring.